Hey everyone, it's Melody here today, and I have something very exciting and a little bit different for you. So, if you've been following me, you know that I have been recently working with Thoughtful Studio on their design team. Well, Marie from Thoughtful Studio has a new springtime line that has just come out, and so I got the opportunity to interview her as well as share the new collection, Tessa and the Flowers, with you today. It's released today. It is brand new in the shop, so make sure you go check it out. First, I'm going to share the interview with you, and then I will actually flip through this collection here at the end of this video, so stay tuned.
I'm 34 this year. In September I turn 34. I live in Singapore and I'm married to Stephen, who is, I think, on the sofa watching probably a YouTube video about how to 3D print something. So Stephen is like a network, like an internet engineer, and I am a layout designer and like a strategic communication specialist. I know it sounds more technical than it really is, but all it means is that I look at storytelling for brands and I adjust it and I sort of create a story, a big story for a brand to tell throughout, let's just say, 1 year. I had always been an editor. I'd always loved layouts, but I didn't know that patterns was just like one step forward from the stuff I was creating. Because I was drawing things, I was writing things, I was arranging things, and I could see patterns in stories, and I could see patterns in like a magazine layout. But did you know that creating a visual pattern sort of tells a story of its own? And it sort of layers into the whole situation. Not to get too technical, but patterns are like the realization of a part of my heart I didn't know I could express. Sort of like when you learn to sing the song that you love, a song that you love, it sort of expresses a part of your soul that you can't really put into words. Same idea with patterns. There's some things you can do with patterns that you can't do with other things. Do I have any creators I always check out? Okay, let's talk about people who really have inspired me. Cheyenne Barton, illustrator. Her style is very Scandi and vastly different from mine. She's got a bit of a video game sort of storybook element to what she does, and she's very different from me. But in terms of the heart and to take yourself seriously as an artist, that's sort of seeing her grow up in it that really helped. Someone else I follow on Instagram religiously, I follow the hashtag Grand Millennial. I follow the hashtag Chinoiserie Chic, and these two hashtags really help me understand what I'm trying to achieve visually. Then, the other person who pretty much like underscored why I loved magazines, Sweet Paul. Before he was even sold in anthropology stores, I'm talking about the very first magazine in 2010, 2011. I have all the issues and I am religious about the magazine. I love it so very much. And I really, I really love people like that who sort of can see, they style photographs, yes, but they can see a whole story, weave it through a magazine. That's me, that's where my heart is. Rebecca Desnos, who dyes with natural pigments, her color work, that's what I sort of, like when I see how she dyes with natural pigments, the kind of color she gets, really helps me with my color work. And I think, that list is pretty decent. Can I just say that Gardener's Will on BBC, Monty Don, I don't think I've ever gotten so emotional so quickly watching a TV show as I do when I watch Gardener's World. It's just beautifully produced, beautifully shot. And everyone loves botanicals, everybody loves flowers, but there's something about a connection to the earth that I get when I watch this show. It's crazy. And that grounds me and allows me to keep working. So that's that. And eventually I'd like my patterns to end up on curtains and pillowcases and linens and dresses. I really, really wish that I could have a dress. Really, love dresses. And when I say dress, I think I mean vintage 1940s style dresses. So anthropology, that's what I'm thinking. It would be so nice if modcloth or anthropology picked up my patterns and said to me, we want to make summer collection with your patterns. And I'd be like, really? Why, thank you, take it. I would love to see it fly. As a creative who is self-employed, it can feel very isolated to keep going and not sort of have a collective of people that understand your vibe in person, which is where I am. Where I am is in Singapore, and I have tried, but I haven't found my people here. And I feel really, really strongly that all of you, the people who have joined me on Thoughtful, are my people. We have the same values, and that is hard to find in this world. I have been looking for 30 years, so trust me. It doesn't. Well, I mean, when I grew up, I grew up in the 90s. I didn't have a telephone, my own mobile phone. I didn't have one until I was like, what, 18? And when you read, when you leaf through books, when you live with paper, when you live with handwriting and writing out essays, and when you realize that the computer was just something in the background when you were growing up rather than the focus, there is no way that someone who grew up in the same sort of situation as me couldn't find themselves drawn to paper in a different way. We are all paper crafters just by virtue of being born to parents who are baby boomers, you know what I'm saying? And I've really struggled to talk to different people in this wider community without trying to peg myself down as what sort of crafter am I. Anyone can craft. I'm very protective of us as a whole. People might make fun of how much I spend my time on paper or crafting stickers and all that. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you is remember why you're connected to paper. It helps you tell a story, and that's what it really is about. It's not about whether you've got an original traveler's notebook from Midori. It's not about whether you have branded washi tape or not. It's not about whether you've got fancy pens. If you've got a color pencil, if you've got a pencil, you've got a ballpoint pen, you've got some paper, you're a paper crafter. You don't need my things, you don't need my printables, you don't need Thoughtful Studio to be a paper crafter. You don't. In fact, I'm telling you right now, if you want to have a no spend month in the month of May, I encourage it. Stop buying things. But be part of a community. Because when you put your heart into a community, when you put your love into a community, it pays you back in ways you don't even realize. I mean, I'm the eldest of 4 kids, and my siblings are all around the world right now. And I remember what it felt like to be the big sister who practiced her handwriting and who no matter how difficult life was, I knew that that's what I was. That's who I was, to them at least. I could print my name nicely. They would come to me with their books and I would write on it for them with their name. It reminds me of a time where we could all come together, and that is the feeling we're trying to capture with Thoughtful. I'm doing that as best I can, and it makes me emotional, honestly, because I miss my family, and I know it's hard for all of us. And so if paper brings me closer to them, that's what's going to happen. If I can send them something in the mail with my love in it, they know it's my love language, and that's powerful, and that's why we're here. So my message is that, and my message is also if you if you can, please stop buying unbranded things on Alibaba. Stop. If you can afford it, please don't go to the dollar store and hoard lots and lots of things. I know it's not fair for me to say this, but I live in Asia, and one of the reasons why, I mean, I've had failures in this sphere before. I've tried and failed, and I know that one of the reasons that happened is because people would rather spend much less money in the shop where they can get things in bulk, or they can buy things directly from China. And on Alibaba and on these unbranded shops, they rip off people's designs. Just because we can do it doesn't mean we must do it. This is a pleasure for us. And because of that, can we try to be more mindful about where we spend our money, please? I mean, I have things from the dollar store. I have things from Alibaba and things. When people, I haven't ordered them myself with the Alibaba thing, but when you do swaps with people, like washi tape and things, when you ask them, where's this beautiful washi from? And they're like, oh, I ordered it from Alibaba. And you don't say no to it, and then you find yourself using it, and then it's not as tacky. The washi, I mean, it's such a deep conversation, you know, this whole thing about unbranded things. I could go on and on and on, and I know that I don't necessarily have the right perspective. I'm not an expert, but I will say that people like me, artists, independent artists, who take their life savings and put it into printing costs and stuff like that. I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty. I'm saying this so that you understand that there's fast fashion, and then there's what we do. And if you are part of the community and you are listening, serve the community with me, with my fellow artists and creators. That's my message. So my message is, everyone is a paper crafter because we are storytellers, and that is our medium. It doesn't matter how fancy your things are, whether you've got a fuse or tool or not, which I don't have. Don't let your insecurities take over, you know. Remember that this is a space of peace and love for us. And then the other thing is, please support independent artists, and please try not to buy unbranded things in bulk for cheap. I know that that's not a nice thing to say, in a way. Like, I know that if you're a mum and you're budgeting how much you're going to spend on dinner, and if you could pop into the dollar store and pick up something nice for yourself that costs $2, you're going to do it, and I get that. But then just looking, you know, if you can zoom out, if it helps you just make one big decision where you sort of say, I'm going to try not to buy unbranded things except at Christmas or something like that. If I've had you think about that in a different way at all, just by talking to you, then I've done my job. There are 5 collections in this overall line, which is like my springtime line. And Tessa's Sunday Showers is the most, she's sort of jaunty and retro. You've got Tessa's Summer Storms, and she's a bit more stained glass jewel tones, very elegant. You've got Drizzles at Dawn with Tessa, and she's very light on her feet, gentle, pastel. You sort of think of her and think innocence, right? So I see them as sisters, right? So you've got the innocent Drizzles at Dawn with Tessa, and then you've got A Walk in the Park with Tessa, which is very decidedly Easter. It's pastel, and it's very firm in where it is. So she's got a bit more spunk, just a bit. She's still friendly and loving, but she will sort of raise an eyebrow at you from time to time. That's a Walk in the Park. Then you've got Tessa and the Flowers, Tessa and the Flowers is like she's a bit of an 80s girl. She wears blue eyeliner, but she's still very spring appropriate. And there's like a bit of a color pencil situation with her. Now the reason I'm telling you this is because it's sort of relative. All 5 of them have a different personality. And then you've got Tessa's Sunday Showers, which is actually my personal favorite. She's very well heeled. She's got a corset on, but I mean like a 1940s corset, 1950s corset, not like a Victorian corset. And she's sort of like, she's got a hat on, and she's the sort of person that she puts leather oil on her shoes. She sort of looks after herself. I really sort of see each of my collections as like girls who are siblings. And I say girls, I just mean because they are quite feminine, at least the spring collection. And then you've got this. So, and the inspiration for this was definitely, looking at teal as an anchoring color, and then thinking about how teal related to everything else. Teal goes well with pink, teal goes well with purple, but what sort of tones? What about taupe? What about a coral almost? What about a bluer pink? So that's the question that I answered. Those are the questions that I answered with the entire springtime line, and what you're seeing is my favorite now.
Thank you so much, Marie, for that interview. It's very interesting to see a different side of the paper crafting community. We see a lot of the consumer side and a lot less of the designer side. So that was very interesting. Thank you so much for your thoughts and sharing with us. Now let's take a look at this Tessa and the Flowers collection. Now I have printed mine at 8x8 just because it's hard to get things printed right now, 12x12, but this kit is designed as a 12x12 printable. So when you download it from the shop, you will actually be downloading files to be printed at 12x12. If you do choose to print at 8x8, they do work. As you can see here, it worked out perfectly fine. First, we're actually going to look at the papers, and then I'll flip through them one more time at the end for you. And I'm also going to just give you a quick sneak peek of 2 projects that I have already completed using this collection. I will be doing more, but I wanted to go ahead and share with you just 2 quick projects that I have already completed. So I'll put those photos at the end of this paper collection. As you can see, as we're looking through here, there's lots of florals, there's lots of designs, and mixed in with the florals, there's hearts and stars and just different types of doodles that are mixed in with the flowers. We also have leaf shapes and leaf designs. We have a variety of larger prints as well as smaller prints, and those you'll actually see a little bit better if you do print your papers 12x12. You'll be able to see the variation between the larger and the smaller prints a little bit better. I would love to have the large florals in a 12x12 paper to be able to do some cutting, like fussy cutting, and you'll see in my projects I've already done that with one of the projects that I completed. And if you watch the interview, at the part where Marie is discussing her paper, like telling about this collection, she talks about the teals and the pinks and the different tones of the colors and the taupes, and you can really see those come through as you're looking at the different papers within this collection. Now, when you download the paper kit from the actual Etsy shop, you will see that you also get an additional file that I do not have printed here. It is a cut apart sheet that you can use those elements that go right along with this collection, the Tessa and the Flowers collection. So you're actually going to get one bonus sheet that I do not have printed here whenever you purchase the collection. And this is a digital collection if you did not know that. Thoughtful Studios does sell digital collections, and there is going to be the possibility of physical products in the future, I believe, but right now it is a digital collection that you are purchasing. But what that means is that you can print them and use them as many times as you want, and that is amazing. I have already printed multiple paper collections from Thoughtful Studio a couple times because I've been doing lots of projects with those. Look at how beautifully these papers all work together. Lots of different colors and patterns, and they just work so well together. I'm lining them up a little bit better so you can kind of see them. And then I'll give you a quick sneak peek at some of the projects that I have completed. Aren't they beautiful? I love the mix of the teal with kind of the blue tones, with the purple and pink tones. I just think it's beautiful. I love how bright and airy this is, especially this time of year when we're coming out of spring and going into summer. It's such a beautiful time of the year, and I love working with bright, beautiful colors. I hope you guys end up enjoying this kit as much as I have, as well as her other spring line collections. As she mentioned in our interview, there are other collections that are now currently available in the shop too. And with them being digital kits, they are very affordable to purchase, so I would really consider purchasing multiple collections to be able to use together. Now let me give you a sneak peek at the projects that I have completed already with this collection. Both of these pages are in my 8.5 by 11 open notebook. It's like a disc bound notebook that I'm working in. And they turned out so beautifully. I hope you guys like this little sneak peek. I will be having process videos available for these as well as other layouts in the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for those. And please go check out the Thoughtful Studio shop. It was very nice of Maria to give us her time today to interview with me and just to give us a little bit of insight into her creative mind. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I will be back soon with more. All right, bye.